Welcome back to DevLog 2 for contextFound, working on making information management and organization delightful. We're back again this week with Gecko Construction, DIY commercial construction management. Logging in, we see all the items that we had before, the projects, the asks, decides, buys. I made a lot of progress on the bifold door project this week in real life. But what I hinted at last time would be agentic natural language LLM powered addition of items. So instead of manually adding items in, I was working on getting cloud functions to enable natural language creation of them. So if I say buy 5 bags of mortar, then that's making a call to a cloud function, which is calling over to Gemini. Actually, it's doing full Gemini 2.5. I'll talk about later why that is. And here we have the proposed item for a buy type item with the title of 5 bags of mortar and the status of active as default. And this is where we have the human in the loop part of it, because spoiler alert, the next part of it is going to be proposing multiple actions at the same time. So you can just kind of rattle off and dictate multiple items at the same time. So being a human in the loop, it's proposing these, and I'm going to hit accept, and that has cleared off, and we see 5 bags of mortar. They're active under buy. Pretty short and sweet what I got accomplished this week on getting that tool call back properly. Now, the main thing were the challenges. I always like to go over what I accomplished and then the challenges that I had this week. Probably the biggest non-technical one was that my primary development MacBook was stolen. Long story, but I actually am up and running on a backup laptop. So that was a bit of a struggle that I had to do, but it was made a lot easier in Cursor by having the Cursor agent set up the dependencies that I had. Fortunately, all my code is on GitHub, so I was able to clone that down. But Cursor's assistant was able to go through the setup dependencies like, oh, install Homebrew so you can install NPM, so you can install the Android SDK or whatever it was. And it was able to just bam, bam, bam down and run the terminal commands once I went into its own YOLO mode of turning off, don't ask me every time. And it rapid fired and really made that an easier process. I got back up and running very quickly with the framework and was back into my development environment. So that actually, while it took some time, that could have been a lot worse on it. As far as the actual technical challenges that I had, I mean, the root cause of problems was it just wasn't making tool calls back. It kept returning text. It was doing structured JSON. I'm actually utilizing structured schema JSON for defining what tools are available to it. All that is handled with best practices. But it kept returning back a text of the JSON of the tool call, and it was choking on it and not able to hold it. And I worked through it. There seemed to be something in the documentation where I was using Gemini 2.5 Flash, one of the Flash editions. There's something that hinted at that might not be able to do tool calls. So I switched over to Gemini 2.5 Pro, which definitely should have gotten the job done. And it was only then when I'd been beating my head on this for quite a while, a few work sessions, and I noticed that it was in the console log, it was still making calls to Flash on it. So it turns out the big error was in the config file for the deploying the functions to Firebase. It didn't have a build step. So it kept redeploying it without doing a build with the updates on it. So currently that's why I'm running Gemini 2.5 full strength on it. I can probably dial that back down to Flash, and I'll probably experiment with that for this upcoming week. So the upcoming week, I'm going to get multiple proposed actions coming back, multiple tool calls, hopefully, so I can select from them, because that's a vision of mine, that you'll be able to rattle off the things you need, maybe walking around your construction site, rattle them off and have them do multiple items, and they can just choose from them. That's the vision for this week. I look forward to seeing you on the next devlog.